Energy's the currency. Spend it wise, not on drama or pointless ties. Fuel your fire with joy and zest. Skip the habits that leave you stressed. Dance with your emotions, let them flow. Ride the highs and let go of the lows. Life's a game, play it bold. Guard your energy like it's gold. So wake up, darling, and take the reins. Master your energy and let go of the pains. That's not too bad, John. That's an
Not too
AI
bad.
generated poem.
I
Hey,
think you should
so
read that on
everybody,
stage sometime, man. That's really good.
yeah, this is our stage. Right? Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. We're going to discuss our most valuable human resource, our vitality and our energy. Let's go. Raw, cut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. John here and Will over there, and we're together. We're solo, and we're going to be bringing awareness to your energy, how to optimize it, how we waste it quite often, and change it so you can make the most, so you can squeeze the most out of the time you have on this planet. Before we do that, though, we're going to jump into a few announcements. You can find out everything about MTM related, simply by texting MTM to 33777, or you can just head to mentalkingmindfulness.com. One of the exciting things that we have coming up, actually it's one thing, but it's divided into two. It's 2 live virtual 9-week meditation courses, and that's coming up this fall. One will be on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern, and that begins September 10th. And the second course on Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern, and that begins October 6th. And again, you can find out more about that by texting MTM to 33777 or visiting our website, mentalkingmindfulness.com. MTM.com was stolen. Hey, if you own MTM.com, sell it to us for cheap. We'll buy it.
Yeah, tell you, that's a great plug. Yeah.
So,
put the feelers out there, everybody.
There you go.
Right.
So anyway, hey, thank you all for being here, for tuning in, and then also for sharing our podcast, for helping us grow the show, but also grow the impact that our show has, and for becoming more mindful. So that said, I want to jump in with our initial breathing practice, our 1 breath practice. So wherever you are, just settle in and get comfortable. Let's begin by closing our eyes if that's available and comfortable to you. And then let's just begin by exhaling, letting all the air out, grounding ourselves empty, holding empty. Nice deep breath in, into your belly first, then into your chest. Hold at the top and let it go. Release, release, release. And as you do so, maybe bring some movement back into your body. And here we are. We're going to be covering energy, how to budget, and everything that's related to energy, because we hear about budgeting money, we hear about time management, we rarely hear about budgeting our energy, but it's really tied to that. It's tied to that time management and budgeting money even. So let's start there with exploring the biology of energy, and we could start with some quotes. Will, if you want to jump in.
Oh, yeah. Here's some quotes. Benjamin Franklin says, energy and persistence conquers all things. And also, hey, an energy expert, if you will, in physics, right, is Albert Einstein. He says, this is how important it is. He says, everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Match the frequency of your reality, match the frequency of the reality you want, and you can't help but to get that reality. I mean, so it's like, again, and it's so important, energy. And we'll do that last one, John.
Yeah, so this is Shirley MacLaine. Dwelling on the negative simply contributes to its power. And that's what I know where we waste a lot of energy. When we've had Dr. Seth Hickerson on here and the work that we've done with Dr. Seth Hickerson, he talks about where your attention goes, your energy flows. And a lot of the time our attention goes to that negative, and that is exactly that. It's contributing to the negative power. And that could be, maybe somebody said something negative to you in a comment on social media. I know that's where a lot of negativity dwells or lives these days. So it could be, something negative at work that's happening. And if you continually dwell on that, then and then it can really drain your energy. So yeah, definitely something that we need to consider and be aware of. So talking about
Yeah.
being aware of that, like why is being aware of your energy important to us, Will?
Well, it's who we are. I mean, we're energetic beings, right? I mean, it's like I say in class very often that I mean, and the energy that flows through us like has so much to do with our breathing and the quality of our breath. As Albert Einstein says, it's like, it's think of energy also as frequency. I think is very, very important. So how are you mindfully and every day putting in the necessary practices or work or input to attune to a frequency that that will help to create the reality that you want, right? And I love that we're having this conversation, John, because it's like we need to be mindful in this is like the basic reality of all things, and if you're becoming more mindful of like, wait, does this work for my energy or not? In the sense of like knowing that protecting my energy, just like, they say time's the most important, asset. It's like,
Yeah.
well, what's underneath that is the energy that you have. So if you
Yeah.
want to make the most of your time, you need to
Exactly.
make the most of your energy, which is,
Right.
it's like, that's it. But also like, but I like the whole thinking of energy as frequency. It's like that attunement. And it's like, what's the input you're putting in? We're going to kind of break down like on the social realm. And you mentioned, John, the emotional realm. Like, how are we feeding like the good emotions? How are we feeding negative emotions and bad emotions that like lead us to emotional states, we take emotional actions on those states. Also, it's like, how are we fueling our energy? Like
Mm-hmm.
food
Yeah.
and exercise have so much to do with this. So at every single level of our existence, energy, how we are being more, or if we become more mindful of our energy, we're going to be, we're going to be able to optimize our experience. We're going to optimize our joy. We're going to optimize our relationships. We can optimize, our work, our passion, and everything that we want if we're just become more aware
That's right.
of our energy level. So yeah, here's did I miss anything?
No, I think
I mean, I was like a little hodgepodge there.
no, it's
Of
all
like,
good, man.
yeah, yeah,
I think like you mentioned, what we hear all the time is time. Time is our most precious resource, right?
right, right,
But like you said, if we manage our time down to the nitnoid detail, but we have no energy, what good is that time, right? So
right,
I
right.
think, optimizing or managing your energy, finding ways to increase energy, finding ways to conserve energy.
Right.
And we're not talking oil and gas energy here. We're talking about our
No.
own internal energy. I mean, we've all been there, right? We've had the time to do something and then we've been worn out. You may have the time to spend with your family. And this is actually, this to me is actually worse, right? When you have the time with your family, you're there with them, but you don't have the energy. You're worn out. Like for me, right? I've got 3 young kids
Mm.
and I try to cherish the time that I have with them. But there are times when I haven't budgeted or managed my energy levels properly through the week. And on the
Mm.
weekend, when I have time to spend with them, I'm like exhausted.
Mm.
Conversely, the times that I have the time to be with them and I have managed and budgeted my energy correctly, or well, rather, I don't want to say correctly or incorrectly, but well, I feel like I have so much more connection with them. And we'll talk about that a little
Right.
bit more later about
Yeah.
how energy helps us to improve our relationships. And I'd
Yeah.
say it helps to improve our relationships with others, but also our relationship with ourselves, right? There's times
Yeah.
when my energy is low and I start beating myself up. My
Yes. Right.
relationship with myself is worse when I have less energy, which is kind
Mm.
of interesting to think about. But what are some ways that we're wasting our energy? Like let's talk about that, man.
Yeah.
That that you want to take it from here?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like this is like it's a pandemic.
Yeah.
How much we waste our energy. We have well, mental energy. I mean, yeah, mental energy. Is a big one. I mean, and it's like I think what's also important about the mental realm and all this. It's like from a biological perspective, our brain. It's only like 10 or 12 pounds. Of an adult's like body, which is like if I'm it's like less than 10% of my entire body weight, but it consumes 25% of all my energy. Right. So it's just like, what do you know, so if you are overthinking, right, we had that's going to just like, if you're always like, overthinking perfectionism, right, we had a few episodes a while back. If you're always striving for that, it's just like, that analysis analysis paralysis, right, always like, all that stuff. Obviously social media, if it's used improperly, like in the doom scrolling realm, a giant waste of energy. It's not even just you wasting your time energy, right? But how is that? And think of it as fuel. Like, so whether you're eating empty carbs, like fucking sugar, that doesn't help you, right? Or whether, as a food source, right? But if you're doom scrolling, think of it as like empty calories. It does not fuel your spirit at all.
Dude,
And like when we
I
say
love
spirit, right? When we say
doom
spirit,
is empty
right?
calories.
Right. Well, they are, right.
No, I love it. I love that.
Right. When we're in, like, you think of like, we are of spirit. Like, that's another way that people speak of energy, right? But it's not in necessarily like the realm of religion. It's just like, that's the way people describe like even the soul. You know what I mean? That's another kind of energy level, but that also has a deeper meaning too. But if you're using social media, or like if you listen to our show, I think it's a good positive show. So you're adding like good calories,
right.
And like healthy interaction with the world in the digital space. And there's like also, what about unnecessary stress that you have in your lives? It's like, if you like maybe thinking, what is causing you stress, and then like, how can you change that? Because stress is going to change that frequency, and to yourself, right? But also the frequency with others. Like, if you're, I know when I'm not showing up in my best self, because I haven't necessarily taken care of myself, I haven't gotten up and started to tune, my tuning fork to the vibration that I want to put inside of me, and therefore that vibration carries, to the rest of the world. So if I'm not like working every morning and every day just to kind of like attune to the frequency that I want, then I'm actually much more susceptible to negativity, because like, how many times we talked about the negativity bias that we have here,
right.
We just will like attach so easily our mind to that negativity. But what else, John?
Yeah. Well, the unnecessary stress that you just talked about, one of the unnecessary stressors, and it's going to come back to what I just talked about with time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I talked about time management, but then if you don't have the energy in that time, that can be bad. But if you're not managing your time, what does that do? That also contributes to that unnecessary stress, right? Attempting to multitask, right? We've talked about monotasking on the show. That's one of the things that I teach in my seminars, is monotasking, or at least attempting to focus more often on one task at a time, so that you can kind of get into that state of flow. When you get into that state of flow, then that helps to release all the positive chemicals and the hormones. It really helps you to feel better, but not only feel better, it increases your energy. The unnecessary stressors can often come from poor time management. One of the things that I've found with poor time management, or that worsens my time management, is saying yes to everything. So,
for sure.
Like, I understand the people pleasing side of things, and hey, wanting to meet with people and maybe have some coffee with some friends. But sometimes when we get overloaded, and people ask, hey, let's do a networking coffee, let's get lunch, you fill up your time with yeses, and the more you say yes to more and more things, ironically, the more things you're saying no to. So like,
right.
Again, coming back to my example with my kids, if I am just filling up every single hour of my day during the work week, I'm going to be worn out. I've managed my time poorly. I've dumped my energy into other people. And I'm sure some of our listeners can relate. They dump their energy into work all day and their colleagues at work. And then they come home and they're worn out, and all they want to do is sit on their recliner and binge Netflix, which I'm not judging for that, but that's also, that's something I want to talk about later. But binging late into the night, that can also really damage your energy, waste your energy. Hey, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this is just me recharging. Well, maybe watching an episode or maybe two, that can be recharging. It can kind of let you de-stress from the day. But then if you continue to watch late into the night, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30 at night, then you have to get up at 6 a.m. the next morning. That goes back to our episodes on sleep. What are you doing to yourself? That is unnecessary stress, and you're wasting your energy. So those are definitely some things that I've seen. And then drama, right? Engaging in gossip, go into the proverbial water cooler and basically talking trash. A lot of people do that to build themselves up. They do that for any number of reasons, but that can also drain your emotional and mental energy. I mean, even if you're just listening to it, right? You're not saying anything, but you're listening to it. In a way, you're contributing, right? By listening. And then you go back to your desk and you think about this drama that has been discussed at the proverbial water cooler. So, I think those are definitely ways of wasting your energy. So, go for it.
Let me jump in here. One thing you think about, you mentioned about, to come back, about, having enough energy to like put all the hats on, you know what I mean? Like I'm at work, we're doing the podcast right now. I know like you're moving into a new house, you got kids, like you got to get ready. That's what's coming next. You need energy for that. Right.
Sure.
And you need, but you also want to continually, like what's so nice about what we're continually creating here, John, in our own lives, but for our community, especially is like, just being mindful of how we're showing up. Right. And if I'm, if my energy is all diminished and I'm like really tired, like again, like we're not going to show up our best selves. And think of even the whole term burnout. What are you burning out? Your fuel is burned out.
Right.
And one of the things, there's like 6 pillars to that establish burnout. And I learned this through the compassion training I did with Stanford last year. And one of them is stacking. And what happens is and stacking refers to having minimal or no time, or giving yourself no time for move from like task to task to task, or from like, from the office to the gym, back home, transitioning into like sleep or whatever, right? So not giving yourself some time to just reset for a moment, right? Remind yourself of like who you can be, what the intention is in that particular, whatever circumstances coming up, right? And then stepping into that as best you possibly can with like the day that you've already had.
Right.
So like, so think that burn out means like, your energy is like you're sabotaging yourself, is basically what John and I are saying with these time wasters, because you're just setting yourself up for more grumpiness, more negativity,
right?
Poor interactions, like you're going to fall into that trap of talking trash and talking shit on other people. You know what I mean? It's just like, it just happens. Like, right. we're social beings, right? I mean, it's just who we are. Another part of our deep part of our humanity. And it's just like, who are you spending your time with? Is a big one here as well. I mean, we hear it all the time. You're the energetic, for this podcast, the energetic, sum
average
of the people, the average that spend the people that you spend the most time with.
Right.
And it's it's all there. So like, pick your people. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Real quick, I want to just come back to the stacking piece, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, when they look at their calendar and they want to time manage, right? They're like, okay, well, I'm going to stack this on top and like just have back to back meetings all day. And then at the end of the day, they're going to go straight from there to the gym, which I applaud you going to the gym, right?
Right.
Power to you. Definitely a good reset. But if you continually, your plan is to be productive by putting so many things in your calendar. Well, it's actually counterproductive if you don't allow some white space in your calendar, allow some space for yourself. And it doesn't have to be an hour long every other hour or anything crazy. It could just be 5 minutes. And that could be, a meditation practice. It could be just getting outside and walking. Heck, it could be something as simple as walking to the bathroom. And here's the thing, walking to the bathroom without your phone. I know a lot of people, they take their phone to the bathroom with them and they're checking I've seen this. People are checking, and again, no judgment, because I'm sure some listeners do this too, and there's no judgment here, but I've seen this. People are checking their phone at the urinal. They go and sit in the stall on their phone. You can hear it. So anyway,
God. That's gross. I think, you know what I mean?
I think it is gross. I mean, just think about what think about
all the germs.
Right?
Like, give me a fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
But hey, I'm trying not to judge.
Negative, John. It's negative energy, John.
If that is something that you're doing, maybe think about not only the germs, but also
focus
about
on peeing.
The energy. Yeah, get done. But just focus on resetting, right? Focus on resetting. Like, what's the saying? Like, almost anything that is not working, if you unplug it and reset it, it'll reset and work. And that includes yourself, right? If you unplug yourself for 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, you're actually going to come back and be more productive. I know we've talked about the Pomodoro method before, where you work for like 25 minutes and take 5 minutes off, or something like that, 20 minutes and take 10 minutes. That it can be hugely beneficial to your productivity through your energy. And when you have more energy, you're going to be more focused. So the work that you do turn out is normally going to be better. You're going to be more creative. You're going to get into that state of flow. So anyhow, now I'm starting to go down a rabbit hole. But what are some ways that? So we've talked about wasting energy. Let's talk about the other side. How can we optimize that energy? And I'll start, just talked about the gym, right? And going to the gym is going to, and it doesn't have to be the gym. It can be exercise, whatever that exercise looks like. It could be a walk around the block, walking your dogs, doing something to get your blood pumping and releasing those endorphins, right? That can help with your cardiovascular efficiency. Getting regular exercise helps you to sleep better. If you're sleeping better, it's this compounding effect. Eating right. We've had Dr. I almost said Uma Thurman, but Uma Naidu. We haven't had Uma Thurman not on the show yet. But Uma Naidu, we've had Uma Naidu on to talk about This Is Your Brain on Food and what eating poorly can do. We've also had Marley Carmel talking about, the impacts of sugar on your mind and your body, but also your energy levels, right? We've all so my young kids, right? As just about any parent, I try to bribe them. Unfortunately, sometimes that bribing them is with sugar. And then now they've gotten to a point where they expect these treats. And I told them, I'm like, hey, you can't have, sugar after X time in the evening because you're going to get a sugar high. And my oldest daughter, eldest daughter, I just learned that when you talk about your family, when you talk about kids, you're supposed to say eldest. I didn't know that. But anyway, eldest daughter. She says, Daddy, I don't get sugar highs. And I'm like, baby, I've known you your entire life. Trust me, you get sugar highs. But with those highs, right? Hey, sometimes in the afternoon, when we're starting to get that afternoon slump, we think, okay, well, let me grab a cup of coffee with a lot of sugar in it. Let me grab a sugary snack, and that might make us feel better for a little while. But then we come crashing back down. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about sugar is the glycemic index of food.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sure.
It's something to be aware of, right? So, like foods like empty carbs, like pretzels or regular flour pasta and stuff like that. These are very high on the glycemic index, so they actually spike your sugar. Like that's the thing. Like low glycemic index, you don't get the sugar spike, so you don't get that mood swing, right? So you're not kind of like in this like up and down kind of feeling, on the inside, right? On an emotional, energy level. But like low glycemic foods, like even like the sugar as well. I mean, like think of maple syrup and agave. I know are low on the sugar index. But so are foods like legumes and like oats and meat. Like they don't necessarily give you that big like that big sugar high. So you're not going to be your energy is not going to be all over the place, right? And being less likely to be controlled because it hijacks us emotionally. And then we're just trying to be like, oh shit, like, why do I feel this way? So that's one thing to be aware of, like the glycemic index and thing. Try to keep, I think they say below like 55 is good. Like you're not going to get those spikes, and you're not going to have those emotional spikes as well, and the emotional valleys too.
Yeah,
so that's something to be aware of as well. So also another thing about, like, as far as exercise, like when you have more muscle on your body, you have a higher metabolic rate. So your energy is actually flowing more, instead of like, that's why exercising is good. Like if we build more muscle, bring more muscle into our body, right? It's greater energetic efficiency, in our metabolic rate. So, I mean, that's another reason to kind of get to the gym, and like literally pump iron, like get some muscle on you a little bit, I lost my place in my notes
good,
here.
man.
Yeah,
so we're still on the optimizing energy piece.
Yeah.
Mental focus.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, So diet and hydration, we just talked a little bit, but so diet is like, so low glycemic foods, staying hydrated is super, super important. But hydrating with like, just like water, some electrolytes, like, just sea salt is fine. But also it's like, I forgot.
I'll just touch on hydration real quick.
Yeah.
A lot of the time when we feel hungry, we're actually thirsty. But what do we do when we feel hungry or we feel a little down on energy? What do? We grab crappy, sugary, high glycemic foods, when a better thing would be to grab a glass of water. And that helps us hydrate, which makes our body run more efficiently, which ultimately allows us to be more energetic or conserve or even gain energy there with just with hydration. So, I mean, if you're going to take nothing else away from this episode today, hydrate.
Yeah. And also it adds satiety. It includes, like, so you actually feel satiated, just by a little bit of water, which is a big deal. It's just like, watch. I mean, the food is so. I was also. How about a potential? If you ever want to try it, I mean, check with your doctor, all that kind of stuff. John and I are not dietitians. We're not psychologists. We're just mindfulness experts that are trying to make you aware. Two dudes that are trying to make you more aware of your energy. But maybe trying something like for optimize your energy and your brain power is intermittent fasting. It could be a great way, to. I have a lot of students, and I've done it for like almost 9 months in the past, where I'm doing a 16-hour fast with absolutely no calories, in my diet, from like 8 o'clock at night until whatever 16 hours later is, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So like I think that's right, or 12 o'clock or something. I think it's 12. So I would have a tremendous amount of mental clarity, because one thing about, as far as energy, right? Not only the brain does 25%, but when you put food in your body, boom, all your energy goes down tremendously. That's why you get tired. Typically, I work from home. I have my own business. So as soon as I eat lunch, I'm going to do it after the show. I'm going to take a nap. I'm taking that. Like, why fight it? Like, why fight it? Just lie down for 20 minutes, let the food start to digest. Like, I get like, my body wants to rest anyway. So I just work for it.
Yeah. Real quick, if you're in a place and a time that allows it, sometimes a nap is what you need. Like, truly,
exactly.
That can help to increase your energy. And the way that I think about it is just like the bank, right? The what we're doing with our money, as money comes in, then you kind of have to budget where that money is going to go.
Right.
And then you also not only have to budget where that money is going to go, but you also have to think about, okay, where else am I going to get revenue, right? What are my additional revenue streams? Well, think about that with energy, right? Okay, so when I wake up in the morning, I have this certain amount of energy, and I'm going to deplete it as time goes through the day. Where am I depleting it? Where am I putting that energy? Where am I budgeting that energy? And then if I can imagine myself, okay, well, I budgeted all the energy that I woke up with. Now, how am I going to get more energy? And it's not by going and grabbing an energy drink. It's going
Right.
and
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
maybe
What
taking
kind
a
of
nap.
bullshit is that? Right.
Right. Take a nap.
Right.
If you're able, I mean, I know a lot of people that listen, they work 9 to 5 or 7 to 9, or they're working hard, and maybe taking a nap is not available to them. But what is available to you? Maybe eating something that doesn't have that high glycemic index, something that's going to give you a little bit of a boost. Maybe taking a walk around the block really quickly.
Exactly.
That's going to be that additional quote unquote revenue, right? That energy revenue to add to the bank, add to that account. That's how I think about it.
Well, and also breath work is part of a way of
sure.
optimized, right? I mean, big deal, right? I mean, this is a big way. Like if you know, like, oh, fuck, man, I got to slug it out for the next 2 hours. I got to really get this project done, instead of like going into the doom of like, how am I going to get this done? And like, and overthinking this moment, boom, drop in and do some like energizing breath work, like the inner fire breath that
man.
I made famous in the world.
Fire breath yesterday, breath of fire yesterday with a client, and it was like a cup of coffee, but much better for us, right?
Yeah,
so we didn't have that caffeine
better.
that's going to wake us up or keep us up late and just put us into that downward spiral. As I get tired in the afternoon, I have that energy drink or that cup of coffee, and then I'm up later, and then I can't get to sleep. Or if I do get to sleep and then I wake up later, then I won't be able to get back to sleep. It is a downward spiral for sure.
Well, with breath work, especially with that inner fire breathing, we're beginning to change that ratio. We learned from James Nestor is so important. CO2 to O2.
Right.
If you have more CO2 in your body, your body just starts to optimize naturally. You become more energetically, just become more energetic. Period. More vital, or feel more vitality.
Which for our listeners who haven't listened to that episode with James Nestor, he's the author of the book Breath. And it's counterintuitive. You may have thought Will messed up there when he's like, oh, the more CO2 we have in our system, it's actually, it's totally counterintuitive. The more CO2, to a level that we have, it actually helps a lot. So it's not just the oxygen in our system, but it's also the CO2, and it's not getting rid of that CO2, but it's actually having a certain amount in our system that helps us with our energy levels.
And that the inner fire breath, it helps because you're holding your breath, but also it's about breath work. And one of the reasons that we kind of get low energy and our body becomes less efficient and our mind becomes less efficient is because we might be dropping into like an acidic state of being within our body. We want to stay in an alkaline state of being, because that's when all of our begin to optimize. When we are, not acidosis, I can't remember the name, but like we're in an acidic state, like our body begins to, it gets compromised, and all of our systems get compromised, and that's when we start becoming less energetic fit, less energetically efficient. Last thing I'll say, as far as far as your mind, it's like meditation. Now we got a course coming up. Please sign up for it. I mean, I know it's like, it's not even a shameless plug. Like,
no, it's not.
Important. It's so important. Like because how much are you wasting your time, with your mind dragging you into the past or pulling you somewhere into the future, and you not focusing? Mike Tyson, the great philosopher, right? He says,
actually, I love Tyson.
I love Mike Tyson because you have to train your mind to be stronger than your feelings, or else you will lose yourself. And what are you losing yourself to? The thoughts. Yeah. Right. And the thoughts drive the emotion, which drive the action. Right. So if you're putting good input in, as far as like fueling yourself with good thoughts, right, or just taking your time in meditation to just step away from all that thinking, right, you're going to create more emotional control, and therefore you're going to be more intentional with your actions. So, mental focus as well. So
for sure, man, that's a big one, and not just meditation and mindfulness, right, but like focusing on tasks. Focusing on those tasks.
Goal orientation.
Right? Goal orientation, task oriented, right? As you go through the day, checking off those boxes, you get a little dopamine hit, and that can give you a little energy boost. But when you're all over the place with those tasks, when I'm like sitting here and I'm trying to produce the show while I'm answering a text message and I'm putting together a PowerPoint and all these other things, and I'm not focused on the task at hand, then I get worn out. So that comes back to that multitasking. I think it can be a waste of energy. But we've talked about wasting energy. We've talked about optimizing energy. What diminishes that energy? So there's a difference when I say wasting versus diminishing, right? Like, it's like the gas tank, right? If you're driving down the road, and you're driving at the optimal speed, which is 55 or something like that, that your gas is going to be depleted. It's going to be diminished. It's not wasting it, but it's going to be diminished. What is it that's diminishing, not necessarily wasting energy, but diminishing it? And it can be things that do the inverse of adding to it, right? So what are some of those things? I mean, it could be smoking, right? Smoking is terrible for your cardiovascular system, which is a big part of your energy system. I talked about, binge watching. That's both wasting and diminishing, because if you watch something late into the night, it's going to really not allow you to sleep, which diminishes your energy. Eating a bunch of crap, right? Excessive alcohol consumption. There's a lot of things that diminish. So we need to be aware of what wastes our energy, what optimizes our energy, and what diminishes it. What did I miss on the diminishing piece?
Well, one thing that, as far as like all those things you just mentioned, whether it's smoking, alcohol, binge watching, and you probably might be compromising your sleep.
Oh, for sure.
If you really, which is a bit, 7 to 9 hours a night is the norm for 95% of the population, is what you should be working towards. We had two sleep experts on the show talking about the importance of sleep hygiene. Right. So like using your energy, using your time, being mindful of like how you're setting yourself up for more success, with your sleep over that night. So that's that could be a positive lifestyle choice or a negative lifestyle choice. Like John and I got the Whoop, you know what I mean?
That's right. There it is.
I know, exactly. Oh, the fucking Whoops. Right. This helped me tremendously realize, like, I think that's one of the reasons, like, I have like cut down my alcohol consumption. Like,
for sure. Yeah, your heart rate variability tanks. Your restorative sleep gets destroyed.
Tanks. Yeah, REM is gone.
Yeah,
deep sleep is gone, or like very almost minimal at all. So it's just like, then you're what happens if you get poor sleep? That you're really screwed the next day.
Right.
Like you're already setting yourself up for a lot of failure because you have sacrificed your energy, which is the most important, one of the most, why a third of our life we sleep. That's how important it is to our energy.
Yeah.
A third of our life we spend sleeping.
Which some people will say that's such a waste, but it's not. It's not a waste at all. It's going by sleeping, you're actually going to get more out of the awake time.
You're optimizing your biology, and just think of it that way. They have and then your lifestyle choices can lead to, diabetes. It could, heart disease could be genetic, but also it could lead to heart disease through lifestyle choices.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they have sleep apnea or something that we mentioned here in our research, or what we're mentioning now. But taping your mouth shut at night might be something to do.
Yeah.
Even chronic fatigue. Always kind of being tired because you're probably not taking care of yourself during the day. You're probably you're not sleeping well. You might be in a bad habit, bad loop.
That's exactly those things that you mentioned there, whether it's genetic or through life choices, what we eat, the diabetes, the heart disease, even the sleep apnea. If you're aware that you have those through genetics, then you need to be even more cautious of your energy levels and your sleep and everything else. And then obviously be more aware of what it is you're eating. But coming back to taping your mouth, for those who may be listening to our show first time ever, that again is from James Nestor's book. James is getting a lot of promotion in this episode, but James Nestor's book, Breath, he talks about actually breathing through your nose. We're supposed to breathe through our nose more often than we do through our mouth. And a lot of the time when we sleep at night, our mouth drops open and we end up breathing through our mouth. And that actually can help also to tank your energy levels. If you tape your mouth shut, you can actually increase your heart rate variability, get into better restorative sleep, the REM piece, and actually wake up more energized. So, if you do have issues sleeping with your mouth open, maybe that's something to try that might change your energy levels. You might be surprised. So,
Yeah, you
kind of
saw it.
a weird thing, right?
I remember the first night. This is May of 2022, I think, right when we were preparing for Nestor to come on the show. We were like, oh, let's fucking tape our mouths shut, and we had our Whoop rocking at that time.
Yeah.
And your
Dude,
HRV first night, it's skyrocketed, and the higher the HRV, the better.
Yeah.
And that's heart rate variability, and that actually shows you on a basic level HRV. And we're trying to get an expert on the show to have us understand this on a deeper level. But it's basically the higher HRV really refers to how your nervous system is working. Right. And the higher number, your nervous system is working more optimally and is more relaxed. Yeah. And therefore your whole biology is more relaxed for everything. So then you get, if you're in a higher HRV state, as you sleep, you're getting deeper rest, and your body's restoring properly. Like it's so incredibly important. And then another thing here, it's like we alluded to it earlier, it's like social stressors, like negative interactions, but also it's like, are you getting enough interactions during the day? You're getting enough hugs, you're getting a good positive interactions. Like, are you always going to bed pissed off or angry? It's like, if you're walking around like that, it makes a big difference.
Oh, dude, huge difference. And not just in the end of the day, but the beginning of the day. Like when I'm traveling, one traveling zaps your energy, man. You got to be super careful. I just wrote an edition of my newsletter on how to travel more effectively and manage your energy during travel. And that can be, sleeping on the plane and getting the proper nutrition, proper hydration. But over and above that, when I'm traveling, a lot of the time I'm away from my family, and I miss those hugs, from my kids and the kisses from my wife. I mean, this morning, so I've been traveling all week, and I got to kiss my wife this morning. Oh. I'm not trying to get all gross and sappy here, but just kissing my wife goodbye, my energy, I felt what the oxytocin and serotonin and the dopamine, all these endorphins that really made me feel better right away, and much more energetic. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That wasn't a piece that I thought of until you just said that. But having that social interaction, so the opposite of the social stressors, it's the positive social energy that we have. So I've talked a bit about budgeting energy quite a bit already, so we can kind of skip that piece if you want to. I mean, what about?
We did social again. You just be very mindful of the people you're hanging out with. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the energy that they're bringing to the interactions that you have. I have a friend of mine that, he's a good friend of mine, but the guy fucking complains all the time. It's everything's a fucking complaint. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. It's like, and then complaining, there you go. The complaining is going to be a negative way of energetic expression. It's going to, zap your emotions. It's going to, dictate a lot of negative actions because you're just feeling like shit. And, you're feeling like the world is coming at you and you can't get ahead and you're overwhelmed, whatever the complaining is coming from. But if you're around group people like that all the time, it's like, it's going to I feel it just pulls me down. I don't want to, it's just what are you fucking complaining about? How about you do realize that the world, that the country that we live in and how lucky we are, you know what I mean? And just because your Amazon package isn't showing up exactly when you want it to, that's a problem,
problems, man.
You know what I mean? Yeah. First world. Think of, maybe frame it in that, all the complaining out there, or maybe just bring that, sometimes I'll just drop in a conversation, sounds like a first world problem to me. Right. It's kind of like a little backslap, to whoever I'm having a conversation with, but it is like a wake up. It's like, is this fucking really necessary conversation?
Yeah. Well, you realize you're even with that, right? So surrounding ourselves with people that complain all the time, that zaps our energy, right?
Yes.
But what about when we are the person who's complaining a lot? We're continually negative. We're continually looking for the problems instead of being grateful. And I think that's something that we don't really have here, but expressing gratitude, expressing that gratitude and saying, you know what, I'm thankful that I have an Amazon package. I'm thankful that I'm capable of ordering something on my phone and it shows up at my front door. Like that's
Exactly.
amazing, right? If we can
Exactly.
express gratitude more often, that can also help with keeping from getting into that downward spiral of
Right.
negativity, which even if nobody else is around, that downward spiral of negativity inside us, that will
Hmm.
sap our energy super fast, man. So
Yeah.
try to, and I'm not saying, hey, have that, what is it, toxic positivity, but
No.
look for the things that are good. Have that outlook on life that does express more gratitude. That can
Hmm.
definitely be helpful.
Oh yeah, well, the energy of gratitude. I mean, again, like
Yeah.
we're all frequency. We can manipulate our frequency to make it work for us. And gratitude is something that if you be attuned to, right, and bring in that frequency, and that's a great way. Meditation is a great way to do it. Journaling is a great way to do it. Expressing gratitude, to your spouse or to a friend or a loved one or something like that is a great way to do it
Yeah.
because like you're speaking more of that into existence. You're also creating the mental loops. So instead of looking for the negativity, looking for the problems, waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? It's just like the world is here to help support me. And something that might seem like it's a negative thing, I'm sure it's a giant opportunity to learn, if you're able to kind of step back and not get dropped down into that emotional state.
Yeah.
Like gratitude is a very, very, very powerful tool. And also gratitude opens you up to all the other wonderful virtues that we have inside of us that exist on an energetic level.
Right.
So it's like, and if you're complaining, it's the opposite.
Right. Oh
Like
yeah.
it's just totally
And
opposite.
what I know, you mentioned journaling, gratitude journaling, and just expressing that gratitude. What the other emotions that I believe can help to regulate or even energize, regulate
Mm.
energy or even energize. I think like awe, right? Like when I go
Yeah.
and I travel, when I see something I haven't seen before, like even when I come see you hanging out with a friend, that's definitely
Yeah.
good having that
Yeah.
energy there. But when let's say some of the parks that we've been to, and I'm like, holy crap, look at this amazing building. There's all these buildings around, and oh wow, look at this awesome park right in the middle of this concrete jungle. That's
Mm.
all. If I go and see, the Grand Canyon, and I go on vacation and I see things I haven't seen before, experience things I haven't experienced before, and get into that sense of awe. For
Yeah.
me, that's huge, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I can wake up super tired and I'm like, oh, I got to drive 3 hours to go see the Grand Canyon, but because I know it's there, and I know I'm going to experience that sensation of awe, man, the
Yeah.
energy is there.
Yeah.
It is there. So there's
And it
definitely
also again
go for it.
it helps you to also understand that you're attached to something greater than yourself, than all
Yeah,
your greater little problems or whatever is going on with you. You know what I mean?
right.
Can pull you out of that selfish negativity complaining loop, right, and put you in like, holy wow, is this like just watching the sunset? Like, I mean,
Oh,
I
dude.
don't get a ton of nature in the city, but watching the sunset and
Yeah,
watching the duration and the beauty of like and experiencing the time lapse, kind of, you will, of a
dude.
sunset is like, wow, the
It's one of my
colors,
favorite, man.
the purples, the orange, the
Remind me, I'm
blues.
gonna. So I was flying in last night, and I was watching the sunset through the window of the plane,
Fucking
and
amazing.
I texted. So as I'm flying into Denver, and I texted my wife about, hey, I will never take the sunsets in Colorado for granted. And
Mm.
as I texted her, a message came in from her with the picture of the sunset from our house. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
so,
Yeah.
so I mean that's
Tuned in.
yeah, experiencing sunsets, sunrises, the beauty of flowers, the beauty in
Oh,
someone's smile, right? Hey, like that,
right.
having looking at your kids and that hearing them laugh, just those emotions that can positively affect your energy. And then obviously we've talked about the inverse of that, if the negative emotions, how they can negatively affect our energy levels.
Mm.
But let's talk about the
Yep.
what negative energy, or how negative or positive energy can affect our social connections, right? We've talked about how social connections can affect our energy. Now let's talk about the other side, how energy can affect our social connections. So, I mean, just think about, like I talked about at the beginning of the show, when I have more energy to put into the time that I have with my family,
Mm.
those relationships are strengthened. the inverse is true too. When I don't have the energy and I'm just a freaking bump on a log when I'm at home with my kids or with my beautiful bride, I'm not the husband, the father, the friend, the son, the brother that I want to be, right? So that energy can have a positive, extremely positive effect or extremely negative effect on our energy, on our relationships,
Right.
So,
well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
No, that's it. That's all I have.
Well, I mean, the Latin word for, it's energy and motion comes from the Latin term emote. And that's what we are. I mean, think of everything like the kindness has an energy. Kindness is an expression of energy. Joy is an expression of energy. Peacefulness is an expression of energy. Hate is an expression of energy.
Oof,
right? You
yes,
know what I mean? Like complaining or that's kind of way of expressing your energy. Like, negativity is kind of bland, but you get what I'm saying here. It's like, these are all expressions of energy. These are all frequencies that you're giving off. And if I'm continually showing up, and one thing I've seen from all the work I've done, John, from like in meditation realm, psychedelics, is to be kind. To be kind to myself, and to be kind everywhere.
Huge.
And the doors that it fucking opens, right? I've had people, men, and it's really awesome to hear this from men. It's like, wow, Will, you're just so disarming. And I'm like, wow. I mean, so like, I don't need to like armor up, you know what I mean? Like, oh, what's this guy want? You know what I mean? This could be very masculine in the sense of like, who the fuck are you? No, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? It's like, what do you want? I'm tougher than you. Instead of just being like, looking somebody in the eyes and just kindly being like, hey, how you doing?
Right.
It's just like, boom.
Awesome.
It's like, it changes the energy like instantly. I mean, and not like an authentically kind, not like, but maybe got to fake it till you make it or something like that, in order to change it. But that's all. I mean, that's like, how do you want to be perceived? How do you want to be remembered? Right. And then if you, and take a moment and think about that, and then find a way to make that happen in your social interactions.
Right.
Right. And show up as that person. Right. I mean, not necessarily taking on if it's a negative environment, like you can still be kind and maybe change the entire, energy in that social situation by showing up kind, joyfully, peacefully. Instead of adding to the negativity, you can change the energy because it's just it's a frequency, what emotions are.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it makes me think of what was it, Maya Angelou, who said, it's not what you give to people. It's not what you do for people, but it's how you make them feel. And I'm definitely paraphrasing, and I probably screwed that up.
Yeah. No, it's not what you say. It's not what you do. It's how you make them feel.
There you go. So, how do you make them feel? If you make them feel positive, then that's going to help their energy. But at the same time, it's also going to improve your energy, right? It always feels good to give back. So I'm not saying that's why you need to give. That's not why you need to be kind, but it is I guess a positive side effect of being kind or being positive.
It's a byproduct of being a good person.
Yeah.
And wanting to be a good person, wanting to be a good person energetically, showing up in the world like this. And think of, from a business perspective, like, who do you want to work with? You want to work with a negative asshole? You want to work with someone that's kind and relaxed and, and peaceful and listening and genuinely curious about other people, or do you want to work with somebody that's like negative and controlling and, like whatever kind of negative traits that some, bosses have. We did boss versus leader back in the day. The leader's going to build you up. Leader's going to, has your back. Leader says we instead of me, like all these, it makes a huge difference.
Right.
And again, back to Michelangelo, people are going to work with people that make them feel good, and you're going to get that phone call if you're in sales or whatever, because of the imprint, the energetic and emotional imprint that you leave on other people.
Right. 100%, man. Mm-hmm. So that's the effect of having a positive energy, positive, outlook, expressing gratitude, expressing kindness. Let's talk about the consequence of not managing your energy well, right? So we've talked about the different things that can affect your energy. Now let's talk about what your energy can affect. And one of them that we talked about a little bit before, but in the other kind of the other side of the coin, was chronic fatigue, the weakened immune system, health risks, mental health, heart. Yeah, there's all sorts of things there. I mean, what about anxiety and depression? Like when you don't have energy, your anxiety is through the roof. Your stress level is through the roof. Like I know that there's times when I've been worn out as far as little energy, and the slightest tiny thing has either set me off or really saddened me. Like things that shouldn't. Like I've cried and been really sad for no reason. I can't explain it. And then when I take a look back, I'm like, oh, it's because I have no energy. I have no energy.
Right.
That's and so I know a lot of people take those mental health days to address the anxiety and depression, which is great. You should be. If you're feeling down, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed, and you have the ability to take a mental health day, take it. But then don't
LSD
take that. Yeah. What
light saving day?
Light
saving day.
Yeah,
lights
from Aaron Deal last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, take one of those days, but do it to reset. Don't take that mental health day and then, again, binge Netflix all day, because what's that going to do? It's just going to lower your energy again and just get you into that worse loop. But it also causes emotional strain. It definitely causes that burnout that you talked about. Your performance declines. So, productivity, creativity, overall, just professionally goes down. And then we talked about the relationships, right? Negatively or positively. If you manage it or don't manage it, affects your relationships there.
Yeah. I think we got a lot. One thing I say from a mindfulness perspective, John, is habit, right? Sometimes we're just locked in a habit of negativity, because of the environment we live in, the people we associate with, like the job we have, like, just how, you can change that, and sometimes changing a habit just starts small, like start really, really small. And maybe, and what I would say, John, is like, just start by getting more physical. If you've been sitting, binge watching, sitting at your desk, like, you know what I mean? Just like, and being lethargic and not moving this amazing body that we have around, your body's going to be like, all right, fuck it. I don't need to like, like it's going to start working against you. Yeah. If you use it, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
So how can you, of all the things we mentioned, John?
Man, and getting physical, right? There's quite often there's that pushback like, hey, I'm too tired to get physical. Well, why are you tired? Well, because I didn't sleep well. Well, why didn't you sleep well? Probably because you didn't get physical, right? You didn't get out and exercise or do something. And instead of getting physical, you drank that cup of coffee, so you didn't sleep well. So there's going to have to be a time when you're going to have to get physical. You're going to have to go out and exercise when you're tired. And then
force yourself.
You're going to have to force yourself. You're going to have to.
Right.
And then you will probably sleep better. And now because you sleep better, you're going to feel better the next day. And you're going to be more focused. You're going to have more energy to do the exercise. So I think that's a great place to start, is with getting physical, like you said, Will.
Right. Or and also when you do force yourself to do that, another energy, another emotion wakes up. It's like, I feel proud of myself. Like I did that. I pushed through the negativity. I pushed through the bad habit. I pushed through all, the negative conversation, negotiation, of like whatever my mind's trying to get me to do. And I showed up. And when I show up in those instances, I'm showing up for myself. I get more proud of myself. I feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of success. It's all feelings, all feelings. It's just like, so even if you just take a moment and your mind's trying to like, oh, dude, you work so hard today. You don't need to go to the gym. Like, just don't. You can start tomorrow. Tomorrow. Right. Maybe just step back. It's like, right. One day, exactly. And it's never a day, right? It's like, start right now, because even just take a pause and be like, how am I going to feel if I don't do exercise, or if I do, even though I'm tired? Doesn't matter what the circumstances. You can push yourself, right? And that could just be like 5 minutes of doing something that aligns with the energy that you want and the vitality that you want and the person that you want to be, right? Instead of being like, do I want to be the same? Am I happy being this person, being the same? Or do I want to grow? Do I want to be? And just like maybe looking at it that way, and just like, because like history repeats itself, right? That's why habits continually repeat themselves.
Yeah.
You want to continually repeat the same history and have the same results and keep living the same life, and you're happy with that, fantastic. If it's not working for you, what new input can you put in to create a different energy in yourself, but also bring forth emotions that begin to align and with the frequency of who you want to be, what you want to do, how you want to show up in the world. It's like all there for you. It's just like that's why we're having this episode. But you need to make the choice. Anybody that's listening, of like the force that you want to be in the world, right? And think of force as another expression of energy and power,
Yeah.
right? So force for good, force for inspiration, or force for just more of the consumerism in our society. Yeah, for what?
A force for evil.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, right.
I just finished rereading one of Dan Brown's books, The Lost Symbol or The Last Symbol, I forget. He's the author of the Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code.
Love that book.
Yeah, it's classic, right? Well, I guess it's not truly classic, but great read. But one the Lost Symbol, I was just thinking about the forces of evil. Anyway, sidebar. So let's wrap it up, man.
Yeah, man.
We talked about energy. We've talked about the ways that you can optimize it. We've talked about the ways that you can waste it. We've talked about the ways that you can diminish it, the effects that it has on you as a person, the effects that it has on your work, your relationships, and ways that you can budget it. So like energy, along with time, I think energy and time are your most valuable resources. And when you invest time, when you invest energy into managing them, so you have to invest time and energy into managing time and energy, the returns, that return on investment is huge. It's kind of immeasurable. And so what are you going to have? You're going to have better health. You're going to have stronger relationships. You're going to have enhanced performance. And then ultimately you're going to have a deeper sense of purpose. So if you're not managing your energy, if you're not budgeting your energy, if you're not taking care of yourself and doing things that are going to optimize that energy, not doing things that are going to waste it, being aware of the things that do diminish it, you're hurting yourself and you're hurting those around you. So I'll leave it with that. And Will, I'll turn it over to you for our ultimate closing practice, and we'll call it done.
I'll say it again. Like, if maybe what you need in order to become more aware is just the time to step back and really get in touch with the emotional being that you are. Our meditation course is a great way to do that. I mean, it's like, it gets so powerful. I mean, and it's like 25% off for veterans and public servants. Even if you need it's only $355 for this course. It's not that expensive for 9 weeks. And what you're getting, like I was told you should charge a lot more for this course. I'm like, no, I want a lot of people to come to this course because it's so important for people to, to take control of their energy. And that's what meditation is going to help you to do, it taking control of your mind, or at least being more aware of your mind. Or maybe like, hey, I've been coaching more and more men, more and more people, women as well. Maybe you just need someone to like guide you through, because it's really tough to self-start sometimes, so to have somebody there uniting two energies, right, could help you to kind of create those habits and begin to take that, you get to know what your best foot forward is. Is great. And just,
Amen,
it's all,
brother.
it's all, yeah, it's all there for it's all there. It's all there. It's a choice. It's a choice. Thanks, man. All right. We're just going to do a few breaths to close. I wish we had time to do like the whole inner fire breath, but that's like 11 minutes, or even just do one round is really powerful. But let's just calm down, and getting to peace, and pausing for a moment, could be a great way to be like, hey, where do I want to go? Do I want to go back to yesterday, or do I want to do something new today and maybe start a whole new path? And just taking a few breaths can help you to release from the negativity in the mind, and maybe make a different choice in the future. So here we go. We're just going to do 3 breaths. Exhale the breath all the way out. Take a big giant breath in. And let it go. A couple more inhale. Exhale, maybe a little thank you for listening today. Right, and one more just for peace. To remind yourself how powerful you are. And let it go. And there we are, everybody. And there we are, John. Love seeing you, John. I think,
Back at
this
you.
is like, we have a great time with this. Yeah.
Well,
Thank
you
man.
give me
I appreciate
energy, and then
Yes.
hey, you, our community, you give me and Will energy to do this show, and we thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, but also over and above the energy you give us, you can also support the show as a listener support.
So, yeah, give us your other currency, cash.
That's right. Hey, give us the cash. Show me the money. But yeah, check out the listener support.
We need the money.
in the podcast notes down below, and we thank you for joining us. Hey, everyone, until next time, take care and peace.
Peace. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you walk away with some new tools and insights to guide you on your life journey. New episodes are being published every week, so please join us again for some meaningful discussion. For more information, please check out mentalkingmindfulness.com.